So we have Newton to thank for turning the world into a rational place.
Well, I describe him as the last viable alchemist. You see,
Well, that's interesting that he had these two poles
yeah,
that he was working in. So on the one, he's dealing with mysteries, and on the other, he's dealing with, basically dismantling the mysteries. And they're going on simultaneously. And as you mentioned, he spent perhaps as much time or more in his alchemical work, which has all been lost,
yeah.
than he did on his.
And look what he's given us. Gravity. Everything we know in terms of physical linear relationships, cause and effect, is all out of Newton's conceptualizations. He had his alchemical papers in his laboratory, and I believe it was his dog, a little dog that got up on the table, knocked the candles over or whatever was illuminating the workshop, and burned up his alchemical work. And the research I've done into his life, he was more interested perhaps in the alchemical work he was doing than the physics he was working on back in his day. But I consider him to be the last of the great alchemists. You see, back then, we didn't have it nailed down the way we do today. So in England, they passed a law forbidding anybody to be an alchemist. And if you were caught being an alchemist, you could be hung to your death, because the fear was by the Regency that if you did find a way to transmute lead into gold, you would render the treasury worthless. And so the kings and the queens of old, or Parliament, were protecting their own by outlawing alchemy, because they weren't sure yet that couldn't be done.
And they were scared of it. So let's take a protective measure.
Yeah, yeah.
But Newton basically turned everything into Negretto. It's a binary, on-off causal explanation for everything. Now life becomes pretty understandable.
Yeah, and in that kind of eliminated the mystery in the Christian faith and the Christian myth, and now has moved us to a point where we're once again searching for that meaning. And my sincere belief is that meaning is found in the exchange of the individual with the Verito. Where that goes, I don't know, but I'm just fascinated by the fact that the Aquarian Imago allows for a conscious understanding of the Verito and of water. And to me, that's a scintillating mystery to participate in, not to reduce, not to solve, but to participate in. Through, as I keep saying, pursuing your own aesthetic with the sense that it's taking you somewhere and you're looking for it.
Part of the expectation of the spiritual domain is that it will rescue us, it will save us from the Negretto. But in fact, the Negretto is a requirement. I mean, it's almost, you've got to have it in order to have anything.
I agree. And when I talk about the albedo experience, I don't want to suggest that upon that attainment, you've eliminated the Negretto, you've obliterated it. Nope. That at best you can keep one foot in the albedo, but you always have the other foot in the Negretto. And it's the land of milk and honey really does exist, but it's a little place, and it's never big enough to trump the world of the Negretto. And for better or for worse, that's just how it is. And this life is what we have until we don't have it. And I think that to be able to discover or to have an albedo moment is a time of transcendence, but not delivery from the Negretto, because we still have to eat. We still have to make our way.
You can't live on love, as they used to say. You gotta,
Well, I'm reminded of the Zen notion that goes something like this. If the monk before enlightenment gathered water and chopped wood, what does the monk do after enlightenment? And the answer, of course, is gathers water and chops wood. And I just think that there's great beauty and harmony in that wisdom.
but there is a transcendence, because in that awareness,
And
there is an understanding of kind of how it all fits together.
I think the albedo moment brings to the person that has attained to it a satisfaction about things, a deep satisfaction about things. And as you said, an acceptance of life as it is without a disharmony. As difficult and as hard as life is, there's a greater sense of harmony upon reaching an albedo moment where it's okay